A couple of points to consider when getting a high-end paddle. Doug asked a really great question, and I think if we generalize it, it can help people that might be in a similar situation. Doug right now has an average Euro blade, and he's looking to upgrade to a high-end paddle, and he doesn't know if he should go with a high-end Euro blade or a high-end Greenland paddle. Getting a high-end paddle will change your paddling. And I don't mean getting the most expensive one. What I mean is getting the lightest, best possible paddle in your hand will change the way you paddle. When my wife and I started, we had aluminum shaft paddles with plastic blades, and they were fine for what we were doing. But when we switched over to carbon paddles, and I mean carbon shaft and carbon blades, all of a sudden it was just so much easier to paddle all day, because if you're putting in thousands of strokes on a trip or on a daily paddle or whatever, that amount of energy that you're saving for every stroke for the paddle being so much lighter, all of that will be returned in terms of endurance, how much you're enjoying yourself, not getting tired, getting to a camp spot and then having fun the rest of the time, rather than swinging around a heavy paddle. While we may think that the difference in weight is not very much, if you multiply that by the amount of times you will take a stroke, it makes a huge difference. But the caveat is it does not have to be the most expensive paddle there. And what I mean is this: my wife and I upgraded from entry-level paddles to top-of-the-line sea kayaking, carbon fiber blades and shafts for very little money, because the instructors that we were learning from at the time, every year, every 2 years, they were upgrading their equipment depending on either testing stuff or stuff that was either with their fleet, or they were outfitters. So they always had used equipment that they would let go. And we ended up, coincidentally, my size lined up with one of the instructors, my wife's size lined up with another instructor. We bought these used paddles from them for, I think it was either half or a third of the price of a new paddle, and they were pretty much brand new. They were fantastic. They've held up just fine through all the years. My wife still uses the same paddle because she loves it. And mine, even though I abused it way more, it still holds up. One of my buddies has it right now. So what I'm saying is there might be opportunities for you to upgrade to a much better paddle without having to think about spending a lot of money on them. Don't get me wrong, if you've been saving for a particular one and you want a brand new paddle, absolutely, by all means, go for it. But all I mean is, if you are having doubts about whether or not you should upgrade your paddle, you don't need a lot of money to do so, and it will help your paddling a lot. Now, to Doug's point, he's thinking, does he go to a paddle that he currently doesn't have, or does he continue in the same style he has and just upgrades? I would say in that situation, if you can, usually go for the upgrade first. And the reason I'm saying that is, if you're really comfortable with a specific style of paddle, getting the same type of paddle or something that you're used to, as long as it fits you well and it's the right one for the style of paddling that you're doing, upgrading to a better one will always make your paddling better. Now, I know of many cases, friends or people I've come across or met at events that have gotten a paddle that was not in their style to try it out, and then they ended up not liking it. But they got them because they either had really good reviews or people around them or their friends really liked them, but then it wasn't for them. And so what I'm getting at is, I'd say don't go for a high-end paddle that you've either never tried before or are unsure if you will like them. If you can, try to find a buddy or go to a store, see if you can test one out. And if you get the chance, don't just test it for 5 minutes, test it for a bit longer. For example, with my group, everyone kind of had different styles, different things they liked in their paddles: bigger blades, smaller blades, bent shafts, straight shafts, whatever. And every so often we would switch paddles around, or if someone got something new, we'd always share it around the group so that everyone could get a feel for it, because a lot of times you might like something that someone else doesn't. And when I got into Greenland paddling, I had several paddling buddies that they either made their own paddles and they swore by it, and so I got to test and try lots of other people's Greenland paddles before I decided, all right, I want to get a high-end carbon two-piece, because I knew I was going to like it. I had tried it already, and then I was absolutely sold once I tried one during a pool rolling session. I knew that was going to be for me. So I went for it. But there's been many cases where I've been told by people, hey, I have this paddle, I kind of don't really like it, or I don't know what the fuss is about, it just didn't work out for me. So if possible, when trying a new style like a Greenland paddle, if you can, see if anyone around you has something similar to what you're looking at, and test that out first. The other thing I will say is make sure if you're going to get something high-end that it is indeed fitted for you. It's the right length, it's the right size, it's the right weight. So I hope the main takeaways from this video are that 1, a lighter paddle will make your paddling better. You will have a better time on the water. Just make sure that that type of paddle and that material is suited for the type of paddling you're going to be doing. 2, you don't have to spend a lot of money on something that can be great, because either friends or instructors or outfitters nearby, they might be trying to sell used equipment that is in good condition, and that way you can get something that's fantastic for not a lot of money. 3rd, if possible, talk to someone that can help you figure out exactly if the type of paddle would work for you, as well as make sure that it's fitted to your body and the style of paddling you're going to be doing. And lastly, I would recommend not spending a lot of money on a style of paddle that you've never paddled before. If you can, test it out in advance. Or if you're thinking of getting into Greenland paddling, maybe you can give carving a paddle a shot, or maybe one of your buddies that knows how to work with wood could do that as well. So I hope that was helpful. If there's any further questions, or if you have a story you want to share of how you decided for a certain type of paddle, please do comment below. Subscribe if you like. I'm always trying to put these videos out. And as always, look, grow, Kayak Hipster. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.